From corporate meetings to social media, from politics to leadership culture, we explore the creeping spread of performative agreement, empty flattery, and fear-based silence. Why is everyone sucking up? And what happens when truth becomes a threat?
Welcome to the Slog Pod, where we ask the hard questions like, when did being a bootlicker become a career strategy?
When's the last time you heard someone say something honest in a meeting and then immediately backpedal?
Or when someone got praised for stating the obvious, but because it flattered power, they got a standing ovation.
It's like we're living in a culture where praise is the currency and truth is a liability.
So here's the question. When do we start living in this sycophantic world? So let's define it clearly. Sycophancy isn't just being polite. It's performative agreement, exaggerated praise, and fear-based flattery.
God, you're so right. You're so smart. What a great thing to say. It really,
Thanks, that's awesome. Appreciate that.
what we think of it as is it's like the psychological armor that people wear when challenging power feels dangerous or it just isn't worth it to
take
go
it
there.
to take it on.
Yeah.
Right? And it seems to show up everywhere, but especially in systems where power isn't safe to challenge.
Yeah.
So where does it show up the most?
Well, the workplace. You think about a team meeting where silence is almost just taken as a form of approval.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many times have we encountered that?
Literally every meeting I've ever been in. Or employees being rewarded for praising leadership or licking the boot, but not being rewarded for questioning
Sure.
leadership.
Yeah. You hear those things like, great point, kind of culture for the boss when they say something, and then tread lightly for the rest of the team. Yeah.
A different set of rules for the boss versus the team. How many meetings have you sat through thinking everyone's nodding, no one's saying what they really think? This is total crap.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Again,
I think
every meeting.
for the workplace, I think it's more common than not. At the very least, it's more common than not that sycophancy. Am I saying that right? Sycophancy.
Close enough.
That's how people operate.
Yeah.
So yeah, at least in my experience, and I'm guessing in many people's experience, that's what it is. So it seems more than just a common occurrence in our workplaces. So other places.
Seems pretty prevalent.
I'm thinking of another huge example in our times right now. What do you think that could be?
For you?
No, I mean for all of us.
Oh, politics?
Probably politics. So this public loyalty over personal belief. And I'm seeing that especially on one side of our political spectrum right now in a gigantic way. I'm not going to shy away from that because I think that's objectively true. I'm not seeing a lot of pushback from certain people, even when things are certainly a gray area or going against people's beliefs. It seems like it's not happening
At all.
and that when there is dissent in any way, that those people are probably being punished for it.
Yeah.
Or they know the punishment is coming shortly thereafter. He said as much.
Yeah.
When you outwardly say, I value loyalty over everything else, you've created one heck of a culture surrounding that, or a reason to be sycophantic for everyone. You've given no other option. At least it seems that way.
Yeah.
So truth, as we talk politics, truth becomes treason the second it makes certain people feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Again, I see it clearly on one side. And honestly, I've seen it here and there on the other side too.
I've seen, yeah. I think right now there's something definitely weighted more, but yes, I've seen it everywhere.
Is it fair to say that there seems to be a tendency toward those purity tests
Absolutely.
in terms of our ideology,
Absolutely.
or political bent? Like, if you don't believe everything that the stereotypical fill in the blank
You're right.
would believe,
You're right.
somehow you're out.
Yeah. As I'm alluding to the right, I can see it on the left too, as we talk about certain things and the far left and ideas that have been put forth in that realm also. I'm not going to deny that. I think maybe there is an undercurrent just everywhere that plays to that. And it seems really unhealthy. It seems like a poor outcome for all of us in America, or the world for that matter. And I hate that it seems to be, we're creating this macro culture, micro cultures. It's this mob mentality of you need to be loyal to that person, whether it's your boss, whether it is the representative, congressman, all the way up to the president, whatever that is. So yeah, it's incredible where we're at.
Yeah, and it always seems that loyalty means you're keeping your mouth shut, or just you're flattering, you're reinforcing that belief, that loyalty above all, purity above all, that narrative, and we get stuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another area I think of it frequently that I see it is in media and in this influencer culture that we have.
Sure.
So think about those influencers out there who they're just clout chasing via fake vulnerability. Like they're trying to come across as being all, but really they're just, that's fake.
Yeah.
Or echo chamber posting, saying just what we as influencers or content creators expect, or saying what our followers expect.
Sure. I think, yes. Absolutely. I think that's, like they start from that idea. This is what people expect of us. This is what we're going to give them.
Exactly. Or not give them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. And brands applauding that performative allyship instead of action.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so fake.
Incredible. Happens all the time.
So why does that sycophancy work? Why do we use it? Why do we go there?
I think here's the thing. Sycophancy works because it's safer than honesty, or at least we feel it's safer than honesty. There's a system that's created that, and it makes it feel that it's safer than being honest, than being direct, than trying to figure out what's going on.
I like to think of it in terms of, so think of the biggest kiss ass you know, and I've known a lot of them, and they drive me crazy because I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I hate it. I don't know that the majority of people are actually just kissing up, or it's not just kissing up. It's also, like you said, it's survival. That approval they're getting,
survival,
gives them a sense of security.
Yes.
Safety.
Think about that in every job you've ever had. Every single job.
Yeah. It's safer.
It is so much safer. Keep your head down, toe the line, not say anything, even go further. Puff up the one that could give you that raise, that could give you title, that could give you whatever. Yeah, interesting. So there's some psychological forces at play here.
Such as?
The first thing that comes to mind is that fear of exclusion, the group thing, the belongingness that we all want to, as we continue to talk systems, that you want to remain in that system. You want to be in good graces in that system, no matter what. You don't want to lose that. Systems become your identity. So if you go against the system, there goes part of your identity. Think how far this goes. There's a lot there. And your fear is of being that outlier. That you can't, what if you found yourself on the outside of that circle? We're bringing up things like our organizations or politics. So all of a sudden, think in politics right now. If you find yourself outside that circle, wow, you're not being elected again. That is one heck of a threat. So you don't even have a choice. The safety is so low in speaking out because you would instantly be outside that circle. Instantly. So I can see and this, in my opinion, is one of the biggest problems we have as a species, isn't it?
Yeah.
Am I wrong to think that way? We desire that control, no matter what, to avoid being that outlier. And within that group, we maintain control, or at least we think we do.
We think we do.
So that's some psychological stuff that's going on. Am I wrong to think that way?
No, I don't think so. And I think oftentimes it comes from the leader. You know me, I'm always picking on leaders. As someone who's been in many leadership roles,
you should, right?
That dysfunctional leadership, when honesty is punished, that really sucks, because no one's ever going to be honest with you. If that's the environment you've created, why would anyone tell you what they're thinking?
Yeah.
There's zero interest.
If that's what's being teed up for you, you have no choice but to just take the bait, right?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. It's not that people want to lie. I think they just don't want to be the first one to say what everyone's thinking.
Yes. I've been in that seat. It's on the tip of my tongue, but no one else is going there. Everyone else is just lying by omission.
Yeah.
It's one thing to just say an outright lie to kiss up. I don't know that's any worse
Then the omission
than
thing.
just
You're
not
right.
saying anything, because you can lie by omission too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And yeah, I think you've taken it to even further to say that's, wow, the complexities are within that omission, and being quiet, being silent is just as bad as kissing up.
Now that I think about it, so I've been in situations where I've watched someone say something in private. They say one thing in private, and then we get into a meeting, leadership's there, and then they'll say totally the opposite thing from what they just said to me confidentially. They just go a completely different direction. And I used to think, oh, what a wimp. Why are they selling out? Why are they being so fake? And I don't think that's always the case. What if it's because they just didn't feel safe? They felt safe to say it to me because I wasn't their leader. I was their confidant. I was their sounding board.
Sure.
We go into the meeting and I'm sitting there. They just told me something and they do the exact opposite. Maybe it's they just didn't feel safe to say it like they said it to me.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm thinking too of, I've been in teams where I realized where nobody is pushing back. And as I think about that, I'm guessing it's every single place I've ever worked. And it's not because they agreed, but because that leader, that boss, that supervisor, that manager had made themselves unapproachable.
Yeah.
They made themselves in a place where you could not, they set up this framework where you have to abide, you have to be loyal, you have to, whatever that is, reinforce my decisions no matter what. So that makes them unapproachable. I wonder if they're aware when they do that. Do you think there's any awareness there? Do you think there's any self-awareness that they're doing that? Or do you think that they were taught that by the system that they were in?
I would lean more toward that.
That they learned that. So it's a learned thing.
Yeah. That's how it's.
The systems that they were in taught them to be that way. So now they expect the same. So how the heck do we overturn that? Is there a cost to that sycophancy?
I think one of the biggest hidden costs of that is that if I'm a leader, no one's telling me the truth anymore. So now I'm the most uninformed person in the room.
So you're
not
not getting new ideas.
Nope.
You're not getting any creative thought. You're not getting anything except what you expect to hear.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of head nods, and my boots are as clean as they can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What are some other costs that you see with it?
Oh, I think you're right. That loss of trust is a big one. Or truth suppression, and then I would say loss of trust comes quickly after that. Yeah, that trust. Like, there is no trust. Think about that. If that's what's being set up, there is no trust. You just said safety over and over. But yeah, that is that trust. And then it creates a constant distortion, a constant underlying thought amongst everyone, the entire staff, that I can't trust.
Yeah.
I can't trust anyone to listen to me. I can't trust leadership to do what's in the interest of even the company. Think about big picture too. So there's a trust thing from top to bottom, isn't there?
I can't trust so a decision is made. I can't even trust that decision's going to be effective because I know it's not been informed fully. It's based on BS.
Yes.
Or no evidence because no one said anything.
Yeah, at the very least, lacking evidence or lacking full picture. You're not even able to paint the full picture. Think of what that does in terms of an organization, in terms of developing products. You lose that efficiency. You lose productivity. We talked about that, the ability to create, change, correct? Evolve. You lose all of that.
And I guess I would characterize it as being almost a preemptive disengagement. That environment of I can't trust, I don't feel safe. As an employee, I'm going to be disengaged. I'm not going to be engaged, get into the conversation, then disengage. I'm going into that meeting already disengaged because I know I'm not going to be able to speak my mind. I'm not going to be able to.
What a rotten feeling.
Share what I'm seeing that I think is.
So now you've got me thinking turnover.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be part of
Burnout.
that. How do you create a team when you're constantly disengaging? How do you bring people together when you're constantly feeling like I need to disengage? I can't trust. Wow.
Yeah.
What does that do to that culture? I don't think it just stagnates. I think, or it doesn't evolve. I think it actually goes backwards, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. So it seems you don't need innovation retreats type of thing. You need that safety that you're talking about. To get that innovation, as we're talking about, to get the truth, to get the full picture. You need space where someone can say that's a bad idea and not get crushed for saying it.
Yeah.
At least that's what I'm thinking.
So as we reframe this, thinking of ourselves as both maybe being in the leadership seat or not, maybe we're talking up.
Sure.
I think some good questions to ask, or if I'm a leader, say, what am I not hearing? What am I missing? What do I need to know truly? What do I need to know and why? When I ask that question as a leader, I think that is where we can develop trust, because not only am I asking you to be honest, I'm not punishing you or making you feel shitty when you are.
Yeah. I wonder what I'm trying to put myself in a position as a leader to feel what that looks like. What am I not hearing? I'm wondering if there are some out there or many out there that are afraid to say that.
Is it because they're afraid of what they might hear?
I think that they're afraid of what they might hear or how they come across to people when they're asking those questions. Yeah, I think that maybe mostly are they afraid to hear something that contradicts their thought, the decisions they've made in the past? How tough would it be to find out that a very important decision that you made led to people being fired, led to loss of lots of revenue for the company? Think of all the ramifications that can come down. So think how strong you have to be as a leader to provide that safety, to be okay with saying, what am I not hearing?
Yeah. It's almost like you have to feel safe.
There's a vulnerability in that, isn't there? I think also what we're saying is that's okay to have that vulnerability, to hear that. But you have to have, as we talk about the slog constantly, to me, a lot of that is you need to find a way to be okay with moving that belief, that decision you made, finding out you messed up.
Yeah.
You really screwed up.
It goes
And
back to
owning
humility.
it. Yeah,
You have
it
to
does.
have
It starts with humility, right?
From the employee seat, I think about maybe it's about developing language for disagreement without being oppositional. So having that professional tact. How could I share what I'm thinking or what I'm seeing in a way that isn't oppositional? I'm not in the room throwing stuff around and acting crazy and pissing people off. Can I find the words and ways to say things that are constructive and will be perceived as being constructive and helpful? Using questions and framing them in a way that's inviting people to join me in that real talk or that real input.
Yeah. I think that's a big one. In my opinion, that as we talk the therapeutic process too, it always starts with questions, and it's driving questions. It's Socratic questioning. So where did that come from? Why? Being open to asking every single question after that. I think that's where it starts, because when you ask questions, that allows people to find a way out of their belief or out of their decision or cognition that they thought. They are the only ones who can change it, but it allows them to trip over it. They feel they have agency to do that. So I've always said, as I talk in therapy with people, it's oftentimes ask the questions. And I like that because it doesn't feel oppositional. At least it doesn't seem like it to me. Also, as you talk, I think, and I don't know if we said this a little bit before, but I as a leader, I think you need to cultivate rewarding dissent. That's a fundamental belief you have to have, is that you reward that. Truly, honestly, genuinely reward it. And that's hard to do, especially when somebody's pushing against your belief or your decisions, but you got to reward it.
And if that's not something you've done or have cultivated skill, it might take you some time. Like you might not be able to do it in the moment, but maybe you follow up with the person later, pull them offline and say, hey, I really appreciate that you had the courage to say that. I'll be honest, it really ruffled my feathers. I felt like you stepped on my toes a little bit.
And how many times have you had a leader say that to you?
I can't think of a time.
I can't either. Not one single time. You'd think in decades worth of working that somebody would have said that.
Yeah, I honestly cannot think of a time someone said that. And early in my career, I definitely was lean more towards the bootlicking, just nodding my head to go along. As I matured in my roles and just grew up professionally, I started to take on more stuff, be more honest, and did put myself in the spotlight, maybe not in the best way, but it's a skill you develop. And as a leader, I think, again, you may not be able to do it in real time. It may take you some time to get over your hurt feelings for a minute, reflect on what that person just gave you. Yeah, they might have made you feel uncomfortable, but they gave you something. You should reward that. It doesn't even mean you have to say they were necessarily right. It was the spirit behind it. It was the intent behind it. They were trying to be helpful. They were trying to be as honest. They were trying to communicate what they were seeing through their lens.
Yeah. I tell you what, I've so not seen that. I wonder if that in generations prior, did they encounter that? Do you think that has ever happened?
I don't know.
Or is that just the way we're built? Like this is a systems thing that's been built and it's just continually over and over and over again. I don't think so. I think this is it just has always been type of thing. But it seems like it's just overwhelming right now. Because I can't think in my entire lifetime where what you're describing has occurred. I can't. And that's hard for me to understand why. So maybe there's a fundamental belief I have there. And that's why I guess we're asking too for leaders to reward the dissent. And if you're the one who has that new idea, that dissenting opinion, that to understand, one, you're only being honest. It starts with that genuineness, with honesty.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? And that you're not wrong. Oftentimes you're just early to the process and you're starting the spark for everyone else. So I just gave another belief there that if you're coming with that contradictory thought, that you're just early to the thought process and you need to get everyone on board with that.
Like maybe you could be the catalyst for more people.
That you're the catalyst. Absolutely. Rather than, so it shouldn't be a fear thing. It shouldn't be, I'm scared of being that, but I've got something to provide. So there's another belief behind that. I'm giving something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it seems as we put this all together that, and we've defined sycophancy and we've put it into any number of examples, that more than anything, it seems a symptom survival tool that we have developed or has become in much greater use in our contemporary times. I can only look at what I've experienced, but it seems like it's overwhelming right now, that it is way more common, that these systems are built on fear.
Yeah. If you're experiencing those symptoms, that means you might be in a system that is built on fear. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think people need to be disruptors necessarily. Just be honest.
That's another belief too.
Yeah.
And that seems a very fundamental one, which is to be honest, to be genuine, to be authentic. And I think people think that they're that way, but I tell you what, I know that they're not because of exactly how you described sitting in meeting and no one's saying anything. They're not being genuine and they're not being honest.
They're just telling themselves
They're just telling themselves, oh, I'm being that. And that's to reward to me, that's a coping mechanism for dealing with that fear or that feeling of I'm not safe.
Let me follow that up then with another belief I have.
Okay.
Is that if you do that, the room might not thank you today, but I believe that truth is going to age much better than flattery.
Yeah, it should. Shouldn't it?
Hopefully.
What would happen? What would the outcome? I've got to think that the outcomes would be much better for all of our systems, whether that's our political systems, media systems, organizational systems, family systems, if that truth came out instead of flattery, if that was really playing, if that was weighted more heavily than what seems to be right now.
What do I always say? It's like my favorite saying right now. We don't grow from comfort. Flattery is a form of giving someone comfort.
Giving yourself. Yeah.
Yourself, your audience. Growth comes from discomfort. And the truth sometimes hurts.
It hurts. Again, there's a change in that too. It hurts, but it's all, if it's good for you, it's good for you. If it's good for your systems, it's good for your systems. When we talk about organizations and outcomes, as we talk about productivity, efficiency, all of those things, the ability to evolve, all that comes into play, right? Truth.
Yeah. Or going back to the political realm,
Mm-hmm.
if a politician is never challenged, if a representative's constituents say, don't do anything but say, you're doing a great job. Oh, I love everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Even though that's not the truth. Maybe there's something that politician voted on or a cause they supported, a bill they introduced that they don't agree with, but they don't say that. The politician is not going to change it's in their interest to continue doing what they're doing because no one told them that, hey, that was a bad idea.
So that cancer remains out of control.
Yeah. We're not fixing anything. We're not getting healthier. That politician isn't growing.
Yeah. There's so many things that are going through my mind, so many different examples about all that. So.
Yeah. The costs are immense, I think.
Yeah.
And the sooner we start being okay with that, the sooner leaders start creating environments where people feel safe to do that. They start modeling that, asking the questions and saying, no, really, what do I need to know? What don't I know? What am I missing?
What part of the story do I need to hear? And that's okay that I hear it if it disrupts my thought process. Yeah. It's okay.
And it might take me a minute. You say that all the time.
Yeah.
When I push on you and I call you out,
yes,
you get mad.
Yes.
I do it.
We all do.
It's reciprocal. You call me out, I stomp away, all mad, and I'll butt hurt. But after I've had time to digest it and think about it,
yeah,
I'm glad you didn't just flatter me, nod your head. I'm actually grateful to you because I now have an opportunity to identify what my distortion or problem was and start fixing it.
Yes.
At least start fixing it.
Even as you're talking right now, I think about therapy. Therapy is supposed to be a place where everything is authentic. And it's funny how oftentimes flattery or just that sycophancy plays into it. Because even as you've got a client who's asking for the directness, you might not provide it to them because of even the feedback you get when they hear something that goes up against their thoughts.
So you're saying from the therapist seat to the client,
yes,
you catch yourself maybe.
Yeah, and I've seen other therapists do it or let things slide because they're playing to their client. Remember, there's all sorts of other interests there too. Whether it's simple monetary interest.
I want to keep this client coming back, so I don't want to piss them off.
Client to like me. Those are natural human instincts. All of that comes into play. So it's interesting, even in a place that's supposed to be absolutely open, honest, genuine, authentic, it doesn't happen. You have to be so aware of it. And it's not easy to do. And I think I think what you and I are pushing is we're trying to change the tide on that. We're trying to get that momentum going back the other direction so that feeling of safety is back, that this conversation overturns a belief that they have that they don't have to be sycophantic. You don't have to be. You don't have to feel fear. Or if you're a leader, that you need to be promoting safety. And you need to be open yourself to hearing that opposing thought.
Inviting and rewarding.
Yes.
Discomfort.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think as a call to action to everyone else, I would ask you to look at your systems, right? Your political systems that you're in, maybe the organizations you're in, the family systems you're in, all these other systems, and see where you stand. Are you doing it? Are you telling yourself you're doing it? Are you okay with knowing that you're either being sycophantic to somebody else or somebody else kissing your butt? And being honest with what that is. One of my favorite leaders of all time, I told her, everyone telling you what you want to hear. And she hated even hearing that.
Really?
Yeah, because think of what that means. Then she thought probably, wait a minute, I might not be providing that system that allows for that. Or I thought I was, but I'm not. And I think that's always that balance that's hard to find as king or whoever you are.
Sure.
That leader, it's really hard to find. And it's hard to take that in. And as you said too, I appreciate you saying you got to sit on it. Just in therapy, it takes a second. I can't overturn that thought instantly. I know if I heard what I just said too, it would be difficult for me to overturn my belief on that. I'd have to sit on it and go, okay, and then start to get trash and go in the other direction, so that it say I was the leader, that I could start making that system that provoked the opposite interaction, the honest, the truthful, the open, the genuine interaction.
And I think too that you get better at that.
You do. That's something you hone.
You hone it, you cultivate it. The more often I do it, when I get mad at you for calling me out on something, right? I think that the time I need to sit with that has gotten shorter over the years.
Yeah.
And that's because I've been doing it over and over. I've been having my feelings about it and then getting a little bit quicker each time to that realization. He was being honest. He was trying to help me. He was giving me something of value to me that I can use. I'm getting quicker at doing that. I still have a long way to go, especially with you, because you really piss me off. But the point is, it's a growth thing.
It is. It is.
It's a process. It's a frickin' slog.
It is. That is the slog.
Yeah. Just remember, being real isn't rude. It's a risk. But sometimes taking that risk is the only way out of the slog.
Agreed.
So
if anybody has any thoughts on this, please reach out to us, admin@theslogco.com. Let us know your thoughts when that's happened, or if you want to talk about it and run something by us, we'd love to hear it. So again, thanks for listening.
catch you next time. Cheers.